everyone, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today we're going to create some phenomenal fall leaves, stencil layering with the amazing new November 2023 card kit called Cozy Autumn Hugs. We're going to start by stenciling a background for 2 cards, and we will then end by creating some matching envelopes, which is one of my favorite things to do to really make a complete set. I am using the included stencil layering set from the November kit. This is called Autumn Frame Stencil Kit. It's a 2-piece stencil set that creates absolutely incredible backgrounds. I'm using Fossilized Amber, Crackling Campfire, Forest Moss, Gathered Twigs, and Ground Espresso Distress Oxide inks to create my background. I did use the included Nina white cardstock from the kit as the base, and I'm using the stamp wheel to hold my cardstock in place while I'm doing my stenciling. This has quickly become one of my favorite ways to stencil as it holds everything down while I'm working. Next, we're going to use the second layer of the stencil set with the Ground Espresso. This is what adds that amazing detail to our background. Now, while I tried to keep my ink within each individual image, a little overlap is really pretty as it gives some depth and dimension. I'm using a pretty heavy hand here with my inks today. When I peel this back, look at that beautiful autumn background. Now this would be beautiful just like this, but I decided to add a little more Distress Oxide ink around the edges, pulling that light brown color towards the center. We're starting with Gathered Twigs, going around the entire thing, building the background. I'm going over the stenciled images kind of lightly. It's not going to blend them out or anything like that, but I do think it gives a much more rich, beautiful color to this fall card. After I've done that light color, I will take Ground Espresso around the edges and darken that up just a little bit. I'm going to clean my glass mat, which is what I like to do for my ink blending, as it cleans up easily. Next, we're going to take a splatter box and a couple of my favorite Distress mica stains, and we're going to create an amazing splatter effect. I love splatter for everything, but I think it works especially well with a fall card like this. I have my plastic splatter box all ready. I love this because I can rinse it out after each use, and I'm going to make sure that my Distress mica stain is shook up really well where you can't see any of the mica flakes in the bottom of the bottle. I have 2 backgrounds here. Often I love to do more than 1 card at a time if possible, and this is one of my favorite colors for autumn. We're going to spritz it all over the background, almost doing a half spray, if you will, so we get some of those bigger droplets. Then we're going to take Crooked Broomstick, and we're going to do a little bit lighter spritz over this. So even a little bit less pressure, if you will, when you're spraying this. I want some bigger droplets, and I don't want quite as much splatter. We're going to let these completely dry, and while they're drying, we're going to work on the components for the rest of the cards. I've got my Misty here, and I've already die cut some of the new label tags dies. Now, if you know anything about me, I love tags, and these are an amazing new shape. We are going to take the Autumn Hugs 6x8 stamp set included in the kit, and those label tags are included as well. And we are going to go ahead and stamp our greetings, but we're not going to just stamp our greetings and emboss in 1 color. We are going to stamp and emboss in 2 colors. Starting with the large hello, I'm going to stamp this on my tags first. I did prep both of my tags so that I could do each of these at the same time. If you're doing more than 2 cards, I would go ahead and just prep it all and do everything assembly line style. We're going to go ahead and emboss the hello with some Simon Says Stamp cream embossing powder first. I love the cream if you're not doing a card that is super duper white. So for our card, we kind of took away that white base with our inks. And to me, the cream just says autumn, and it is just has enough of that creaminess to it. It's not yellow, that I think it works really, really well here. After I have added my embossing powder, I am going to heat emboss those. And then I did stamp the word friend right below this, and I am going to then emboss that with black embossing powder for a two-tone effect. The friend is going to show up much better in a darker embossing powder or ink, whatever you want to do there. And that's why I chose to do the black ink for the word friend. And I will show you that right here. Now, we're going to do some embossed resist with all of our stamping and embossing. Taking one of the leaf layering stamps from that Autumn Hugs stamp set, the large one, we're going to position it pretty much right in the center of our label tag. I'm first going to ink up my leaf with some fossilized amber ink and stamp that right over the embossing. The embossed areas will resist the ink. We will need to buff off a little bit in a little bit, or a little of it in a little bit, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take Crackling Campfire, go around just the tips of my leaves, and then I'm going to blend it out with my blending brush and stamp that right over the first impression. Look how soft and pretty and two-tone, and it makes the perfect fall leaf. So again, I'm going to stamp the color first with fossilized amber right over our embossing. Take the Crackling Campfire around the edges of the leaf just a tiny little bit, and then before stamping, blend that out with the blending brush to soften the effect. This gives you the most perfect blended leaf. We'll go ahead and clean that off, and before we buff away any ink that might be sitting on top of the embossed area, we will take the layering leaf image, which is the nice veins for the leaf, and we're going to stamp this with ground espresso ink. Look at that. Perfect, beautiful little tags. I mean, this tag is absolutely adorable all on its own. We're going to go ahead and move that out of the way. I'm going to take a dry rag and I'm just going to very carefully buff away that ink that is sitting on top of the embossing. Now, with our background having lots of inking and distressing, I feel like my cards are a little too perfect. So I'm again going to go back to that ground espresso ink and carefully go around the edges with that ink to give it a little bit more of a distressed look and feel. You'll notice that out of the burnt orange cardstock included in the kit, I've also die cut that large label tag or die cut that paper with the label tag as well. We're going to layer our tags for just a little additional interest, so it looks like we're tying a couple of tags together for our card. This is an easy way to just kind of add a little interest and pop of color. I'm going around the edges of this tag as well because we don't want to leave it out. We have one more piece of the puzzle to prep, and then we can pull our tags all together. I want to add another little sentiment right underneath this sentiment on the tag in a sentiment strip style. So from the stamp set, we're going to go ahead and stamp a phrase use again on that burnt orange cardstock from the kit. Now this time I won't be distressing the cardstock or the edges. You could, but I'm going to leave it as is. When I was looking at my cards and everything I had already, I really thought that a colored cardstock would be the best bet. I'm going to stamp my phrase twice, and I will be going back to that same cream embossing powder as I feel like that just, again, works really well with the feel and colors of this card design. So I'll emboss both of them at the same time, and then we will heat emboss, die cut with the sentiment labels dies, my favorite. always handy. I always have them right on the shelf underneath my worktop, my desk, so that I can grab them and emboss, or pardon me, and die cut. Grab them and die cut. I like to line up one end of my sentiment strip with the die, run it through, flip the die cut around, and then just barely run it through to die cut the other end. I will do this for both of these sentiment strips, and then we can put both cards together. I'm going to adhere the tags with foam adhesive to the center of the panel, tie some twine through the top, and then adhere the sentiment strip. I will add a coffee bean heart and a couple of gold satin pearls to the design as well. For the matching envelope, I have a couple of white Simon Says stamp envelopes, and we're going to stamp a couple of leaves in that bottom left corner. I'm going to do the same technique that I did for the tag on the card, where I stamp with the fossilized amber, add the crackling campfire to the tips, blend it out with the blending brush, and then stamp that. We will be doing this for both of the envelopes. I did accidentally put the envelope in the wrong position, but as long as you make the adjustment, it will work out fine. You could even do leaves all along the bottom if you want to. I only did a couple of leaves per envelope. The envelopes do get thrown away, so I tend to try not to spend tons of time on them, but I love getting an envelope in the mail that perfectly matches or tells you what you can expect inside. And this is one of those times where you definitely can see that you're going to be in for a treat with a beautiful fall themed card. So there I added the veining. For the next leaf, I'm going to pick one of the other ones. I like that one, I think. And they are all labeled on the carrier sheet for the stamp set, so you can definitely see what you are, what stamps, pardon me, line up together. I stamped the second image with Crackling Campfire, and I'm going to go around the edges with ground espresso and blend it out just like I did, but just a different color combination. This is a great way to get that two-tone look. And again, I have to make that adjustment because I messed up my placement of my envelope in my MISTI. So there is that, and then I will add the veining for this leaf. And my set is complete. I will show you the finished cards and envelopes together. I love how perfectly they coordinate, and I love that these cards can work for a lot of different occasions, but it has that wonderful autumn fall feel that we love. So here are our two envelopes and our cards that go with them. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this set of 2 cards and envelopes featuring the Simon Says Stamp November 2023 card kit called Cozy Autumn Hugs. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube for your convenience. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.